I'm Diane, and today I wanted to just check in on where I'm at with my goals. At the beginning of the year, I talked about specifically my book-related goals, but I also set a list of other things that I wanted to do or try or learn throughout the year. A lot of those were different types of craft projects, and while I haven't finished any of my book goals, which is fine because it's only the first quarter of the year, I have made some progress on those. I have recently especially been working on a lot of the different crafts I wanted to try. You can see some of them behind me. I made this little punch needle, which was the first time I had ever done that. I did a cross stitch, which I used to do a lot when I was younger. I've got this embroidery here. I did some macrame, which I've never done before. And two of my favorite ones, I did this little needle felting fox, which was fun to do. And this was the hardest one for me, but I made a little crochet cow. And I think he's so cute, and he has a little bell. Most of those took a while to make, so I was going to film it and share it a little more in depth, but I ended up just doing them and not really thinking about filming it. But there they all are. I'm very happy with all of them. That was a lot of fun to learn. Most of those were new things to me, and it definitely made me excited to do more of the more creative hands-on projects that I have planned for later this year. So those are some of the more creative physical things I've been doing. I've been writing a bit recently. I don't really talk about that much. I'm not really going to talk about it that much right now, but that is another thing that I've been working on. And in terms of reading, I'm kind of behind where I want to be, but also not that far behind. My first goal was to read 52 books, which is one book a week. At the moment, it's week 12 when I'm filming this. It's week 13 when you're seeing it. At the moment, I've finished 7 books, but I also have 4 books that I've DNF'd or started and decided I'm not going to finish at some point. Some of them I read more than halfway through before I got to that. So technically I've read 11 books if you count those. I don't really count my DNFs toward my number of books read. So I am a little behind, but also I'm not really bothered by it because we're only 3 months into the year. I can definitely catch up, and I'm glad I'm reading all of the books I'm reading, even the ones I'm not finishing. They are books that I've been wanting to read or at least try for a while. Some of them I knew probably weren't going to be for me, and the fact that I tried them and now I know what they are, I know what that author's style is, I know what that story is generally about, even if I don't know how it ends. So not really upset about being behind on that. So while we're talking about that goal, let's talk about some reading related stats. Earlier this year, I redid my reading spreadsheet that I used to track the things that I read. I added in some graphs just for fun. They're kind of cool to look at to see a breakdown visually of what I'm actually reading, what types of books, how long they are, that type of stuff. The things that I really care about tracking, I added. Of the 7 books I read, they were all new to me authors that I have never read from before. 2 of them were debuts. 3 of them were part of a series. The longest book I read was 520 pages. The shortest book I read was 112 pages. And in total, at this moment, I've read over 2,000 pages this year, which isn't that much, I don't think, considering the general length of the books that I tend to read. But that's not a small number either. Of the things that I've been reading, I think my least favorite book that I've finished this year was probably Double Star by Robert A. Heinlein. This was fine. I liked the theme of it. I liked the overall story, but I didn't really like the main character that much, and it wasn't that exciting throughout most of the story, so that at this point is probably my least favorite thing that I've read and finished. I don't know if I can pick a favorite book. No, it's too hard. I feel like most of the books that I've read and finished I really liked, and then the ones that I didn't really care about are all the ones that I DNF'd, because if I'm not loving a book, I don't want to spend the time finishing it when I could be reading something that I do like. I would say maybe Emily Wilde's Map of the Other Lands. I don't know. I'm going to say that. I'll pick that one. That'll probably change later. But I think that's definitely up there so far. I don't know how interesting those statistics are, but I really like stats, so there you go. My next goal was to read my TBR books. The way I do my TBR, I think sounds more complicated than it is, but I have a few different TBRs or to be read lists of books that I want to read. One of those are the books that I own because I'm trying to read all of my owned books. One of those is all the new releases. When I do my list of upcoming releases, I put those onto a separate TBR so I can eventually read most of them, if not all of them. I'm currently reading through a bunch of award-winning books, so I have a separate TBR for those. And then I have my actual general TBR, which is all of the fiction. It's mostly fantasy series that I've had my eye on for a while, but I was trying not to start too many new series at one time. So I just have a list of all of these fantasy series I've been wanting to read. That's what this goal is specifically for, all of these series and authors that I've wanted to try for a while and just haven't wanted to have 20 more series on the go. So while I have been only reading from these multiple TBRs, I have the one that this goal is specifically talking about I haven't read any from yet, which at this point in the year is totally fine. My next goal was to read my ARCs monthly or my advanced reader copies. These are books that I get before the book is actually published to read and review before the book comes out. I had a lot of advanced copies at the end of last year, so I was trying to catch up on all of the ones that I had and also get ahead of the ones that I had that hadn't come out yet. I still have one left that is already out that I haven't gotten a chance to read, and I have one that hasn't come out yet. So I'm at a pretty good point with those where I feel comfortable requesting more books as certain books catch my eye. But the whole point of this goal was to catch up because I didn't have any for a while, and then I had way too many at one point, and then it was just kind of sporadic when I either have none at all or way too many. So I'm trying to spread it out a little more evenly. This is something I'll have to maintain throughout the year, obviously. But for now, I feel pretty good about this one. My next goal was to consistently post things. I have a blog and obviously this channel. And while I've had pretty much a consistent schedule, this is just something I do in my free time. So I don't always stick to that schedule. I kind of just move things around when I feel like it, when it suits me, when I have time. I feel like I've gotten more consistent these last few months. I did a lot in December, I always do. January was pretty slow, and now I feel like I'm working up to what I have planned. I have ideas of things that I want to do consistently and when I want to do them. So I'm working my way up towards that. I feel like I'm on the right track. Not quite there yet, but where this is just something I do for fun, I don't want to overdo it and take the fun out of it. And the other thing, which I feel like kind of goes along with that, is participating more in the community. I'm in a group that does a small, very low stakes readathon every month, and I haven't been able to participate in that for a few months. So I want to get back into that because that's just a lot of fun to do. And otherwise, just generally commenting on other people's content that I watch and read. I like hearing about what other people are reading, and it's fun to chat with them, especially when we have books in common. I've definitely been doing that a bit more the last few weeks, joining in chats and chatting along with live streams, but I don't always remember to take the 2 seconds it would take me to comment on a book that somebody talked about. So getting better at that. And I've also been looking for people with more similar reading tastes to mine that I would feel more inclined to engage with more, that they might be talking about a book that I'm also interested in or have already read and really liked. So if you have any recommendations for people that I should check out, if it's you or just somebody else who you think has similar reading taste or just an interesting reading taste, let me know about them. I'd love to check more people out who might have a little bit more in common reading-wise with me, or just other creative things. People that are reading interesting books that maybe aren't getting talked about too much, people who are crafting things. I really like watching those types of videos. Those are all of the goals that I talked about, book related, some of the crafts I've been making, some of the books I've been reading. I feel like that's enough of an update for this point in the year. We still got plenty of the year left to go. I'm going to keep working on these goals. I have a bunch of other creative projects that maybe I'll actually film those ones so I can share them with you. A little bit more of the process and not just the end result. Let me know what you've been up to so far this year, how your goals are going, if you've made anything cool, if you've read anything that you're really excited about. Let me know. I love hearing about that stuff. Otherwise, that's all for me today. Thanks for hanging out with me. I'll see you next time. Bye.